26 AD. An emperor sits on an island 9 miles off the coast of Italy. He's 67 years old. He hasn't set foot in Rome for 5 years. He never will again. From his villa on Capri, Tiberius Caesar Augustus commands an empire that stretches from Britain to Mesopotamia. Every major decision flows through this rocky island. Every execution, every war, every appointment. The Senate meets in Rome, but the real power sits here, watching the sea. Here's the strange part. It works. The empire doesn't collapse. The borders hold. The treasury stays full. Tiberius rules Rome more effectively from Capri than most emperors managed from the Palatine Palace. But there's a question no one can answer. Why would the most powerful man on earth abandon his capital? What was he running from? Or what was he running to? Tiberius was never supposed to be emperor. Born in 42 BC, he was the son of Tiberius Claudius Nero and Livia Drusilla, old Republican aristocracy. Good bloodlines, a solid future as a senator, maybe a consul, but emperor. That role didn't exist yet when he was born. Then Augustus changed everything. Augustus needed heirs, and his own bloodline wasn't cooperating. His only child, Julia, had to marry strategically. So Augustus did what emperors do. He rearranged lives. He took Livia from her husband, took Tiberius's mother, and married her himself. Tiberius was 3 years old. Augustus raised him, but never as a son, as a tool. Tiberius turned out to be good at everything Rome needed. He was brilliant on campaign. At 22, he recovered the legionary standards lost to Parthia, a humiliation Augustus had never avenged himself. He conquered Pannonia. He stopped rebellions in Germany. He was methodical, disciplined, strategic. Exactly the kind of commander who wins wars but never gets poems written about him. The problem? Augustus didn't want a competent general. He wanted blood heirs. Augustus had grandsons from Julia's first marriage, Gaius and Lucius Caesar. They were young, charismatic, beloved by the people. They were supposed to inherit the empire. Tiberius was just the bridge, the capable stepson who'd keep things running until the real heirs came of age. So Augustus made Tiberius marry Julia. Never mind that Tiberius was already married to Vipsania, the one person he seems to have actually loved. Never mind that Julia was his stepsister. Dynastic politics don't care about feelings. The marriage was a disaster. Julia was everything Tiberius wasn't: social, flirtatious, politically connected. She hosted parties while he commanded armies. She collected lovers while he collected military victories. Tacitus mentions, almost casually, that Julia's infidelities were so public that Augustus eventually had to exile his own daughter. Tiberius asked for one thing: to leave. To go to Rhodes, to study philosophy and escape the marriage, the politics, the impossible position of being useful but never chosen. Augustus let him go. Why not? The real heirs were growing up. Then everything changed. 2 AD. Lucius Caesar dies of sudden illness in Gaul. 2 years later, Gaius Caesar dies from wounds received in Armenia. Both of Augustus's golden grandsons gone. The bloodline Augustus had staked everything on, eliminated. Suddenly, the spare becomes essential. Augustus recalls Tiberius from Rhodes, adopts him formally, makes him co-regent. There's no warmth in it. Suetonius records that Augustus, in private letters, often complained about having to make Tiberius his heir. He calls it doing this for the sake of the state. Tiberius knows exactly what he is: second choice, last resort, the option Rome got stuck with. August 19th, 14 AD. Augustus dies at Nola, 76 years old. He's been the first emperor, the founder of the Principate, for 41 years. No living Roman remembers the Republic functioning without him. Tiberius is now emperor. He's 55 years old. He hates it. The Senate meets to grant him the powers of empire, the imperium, the tribunician authority, all the constitutional frameworks Augustus had carefully constructed. Tiberius refuses, then refuses again. He keeps saying the empire is too large for one man, that it should be divided among multiple leaders, that he's not worthy. The senators don't know what to do. This isn't false modesty, the man genuinely doesn't want the job, but someone has to rule. The alternative is civil war, and Rome's had enough of those. Finally, after days of this back and forth, Tacitus tells us that one senator loses patience. How long, Caesar, will you allow the state to be without a head? Tiberius accepts, not with joy, with resignation. And then something unexpected happens. He's good at it. Tiberius runs the empire the way he commanded armies, methodically, competently, without flash. He keeps Augustus's advisors. He respects the Senate's traditional privileges, actually respects them, not as theater but as partners in governance. When provinces send too much tax revenue, he writes back, "I want my sheep shorn, not flayed." The treasury, which Augustus had drained with building projects and grain subsidies, starts to accumulate surplus. The borders stabilize. Trade flourishes. Tacitus, who despises Tiberius, admits through gritted teeth that the early years were well governed. But there's a problem building, and it wears armor. Sejanus, Lucius alias Sejanus, prefect of the Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard were the emperor's personal soldiers, about 9,000 men who served as both bodyguards and police force. Before Sejanus, they were scattered in towns around Rome. Sejanus convinced Tiberius to consolidate them into a single fortress in the city itself. Think about that. 9,000 trained soldiers under one commander inside Rome. The kind of force that could protect an emperor, or make one. Sejanus is everything Tiberius isn't: charming, politically connected, ambitious. He's also, apparently, Tiberius's only friend. The emperor trusts him completely, gives him more and more authority, makes him his partner in government. There's just one thing. Sejanus is planning to become emperor himself. 23 AD. Tiberius's son, Drusus, dies suddenly. He's been the heir, the next generation, the person who would have solved the succession problem. The official cause is illness. Years later, Rome will learn different. Sejanus poisoned him. Tiberius is devastated. Tacitus describes him becoming more withdrawn, more suspicious. The man who never wanted to be emperor is now trapped with no exit strategy. No heir, no one he can trust, except Sejanus. Sejanus, who suggests that Rome is exhausting, that the Senate is full of schemers and informers, that maybe Tiberius should take a break, get away from the capital, rest, recover. And there's this beautiful island, Sejanus mentions, called Capri, quiet, secure, private. The emperor could still govern just from a distance. Letters work perfectly well. In 26 AD, Tiberius leaves Rome for what he says will be a short trip. He's 67 years old. He will never return. At first, Rome assumes it's temporary. A vacation, a retreat after grief. But months pass, years. Tiberius stays on Capri, in a villa perched on cliffs overlooking the Tyrrhenian Sea. The Senate sends delegations. He refuses to see them. They beg him to come back. He sends letters instead. And here's where it gets interesting. He doesn't lose control. Every decision still flows through Tiberius. He reads reports daily, writes detailed responses, coordinates military campaigns in Germany and Pannonia through correspondence, manages provincial appointments, settles disputes. The machinery of empire continues functioning because Tiberius makes it function just remotely. It's governance by letter, imperial power through absence. Suetonius, who never misses a chance to trash Tiberius, tries to explain the withdrawal with lurid stories. Secret orgies on Capri, depraved experiments, rooms full of pornography. The whole catalog of rumors designed to explain why an emperor would abandon Rome. But there's a simpler explanation. Maybe Tiberius finally found a way to be emperor on his own terms. No Senate sessions where aristocrats pretend to defer to him, no social obligations, no performances. Just power, exercised efficiently, without the theater. Or maybe he knew something. Maybe he'd figured out what Sejanus was planning. Because while Tiberius sits on his island, Sejanus in Rome is making moves. Rome, 26 to 31 AD. With the emperor gone, Sejanus effectively runs the city. He commands the Praetorian Guard. He controls access to Tiberius. Every message to the emperor goes through him first. Every report from Rome gets filtered through his hands. He's not emperor, but he has an emperor's power. And he's building. Sejanus marries into the imperial family, gets himself named consul alongside Tiberius, an honor never given to someone outside the imperial house. Has statues erected in his honor across Rome. The Senate starts swearing oaths to him alongside oaths to the emperor. Tacitus describes Rome during these years as living under two masters, the absent Tiberius and the present Sejanus. Then Tiberius does something that seems minor. In 30 AD, he appoints a man named Naevius Sutorius Macro as Sejanus's co-commander of the Praetorian Guard. Just a practical move, Tiberius explains. Sejanus needs help managing such a large force. Sejanus doesn't see the trap. Macro is Tiberius's man, his spy, his countermove. Because here's what people forget. Tiberius might be on an island, but he's not isolated. Ships come and go constantly. Messages flow. Informants report. The emperor, who commanded armies across Europe for decades, knows how to maintain intelligence networks. And Tiberius has figured it out. All of it. The poisoning of Drusus, Sejanus's ambitions, the consolidation of power, the plan to eventually declare himself emperor. The question is, what does he do about it? October 18th, 31 AD. The Senate meets in the Temple of Apollo. They're expecting routine business. Sejanus sits in the place of honor, beside the consul's chair. He's confident, powerful, untouchable. A messenger arrives with a letter from Tiberius. Standard practice, the emperor often sends messages to be read during sessions. Sejanus settles in to hear another confirmation of his authority. The letter starts normally. Praise for the Senate, updates on provincial matters. Then it shifts. Tiberius mentions concerns, irregularities, names allies of Sejanus. The tone changes, becomes accusatory, then direct. Sejanus is accused of conspiracy against the emperor. The senators freeze. Sejanus doesn't move. He's trying to understand what's happening. Macro moves fast. He's been waiting outside with Praetorian troops, not Sejanus's men, but units Tiberius has quietly positioned. They surround the temple, arrest Sejanus, drag him out. By nightfall, Sejanus is executed. His body is thrown down the Gemonian stairs, where criminals' corpses are displayed. His children are killed. His associates are hunted down. Tiberius's letter, it turns out, was just the trigger. The real work had been done months earlier, slowly, carefully, from an island 9 miles offshore. From Capri, Tiberius had orchestrated the complete destruction of a conspiracy he was never supposed to know about. After Sejanus, something changes in Tiberius. Or maybe it just becomes visible. The emperor, who already avoided Rome, now refuses all human contact except his closest servants. He stays on Capri, writes letters, governs, but the warmth, if there was ever any, disappears completely. Tacitus describes a reign of terror in Rome, treason trials, executions, informers everywhere. Senators accused, sometimes on flimsy evidence, of conspiring against the emperor. It's as if Sejanus's betrayal confirmed everything Tiberius suspected about human nature. Everyone wants power. Everyone schemes. Trust is suicide. But the empire runs. That's what's strange. Despite the paranoia, despite the executions, despite the absent emperor, the machine works. Provinces are well governed. The military stays loyal. The treasury grows. Trade expands. Tiberius proves something no one expected. You don't need to be in Rome to be emperor. You need competence, information networks, and the will to act. Everything else is theater. March 16th, 37 AD. Tiberius is 77 years old. He's been emperor for 23 years, 11 of them from Capri. He's traveling from his villa to the mainland, a rare journey when he collapses. The accounts of his death are confused, contradictory. Suetonius claims he recovered briefly, then was smothered with a pillow by Macro on orders from Caligula, the heir. Tacitus suggests natural death. Cassius Dio implies poisoning. Here's what's certain. When word reaches Rome that Tiberius is dead, the city celebrates. People dance in the streets, chant, "Tiberius to the Tiber," throw his body in the river. The emperor who stabilized the empire, who maintained peace and prosperity for 2 decades, who proved you could rule effectively from exile, is hated. But hatred doesn't change results. The empire Tiberius leaves behind is stronger than the one he inherited. The treasury has 30 million gold pieces Augustus had left it nearly bankrupt. The borders are secure. The succession, despite his personal tragedies, transfers smoothly to Caligula. No civil war, no crisis. Tiberius did what he was supposed to do, rule competently. He just did it on his own terms, from his own place, in his own way. He was never Rome's first choice, never the beloved leader, never the man anyone wanted wearing the purple. But for 23 years, he was exactly what the empire needed, competent, disciplined, and too stubborn to fail at a job he never wanted. The question isn't why Tiberius left Rome. It's why he bothered staying emperor at all. He could have abdicated, walked away, let someone else manage the impossible task of ruling an empire. But he didn't. Even from exile, even from an island, even through letters and intermediaries, he held the wolf by the ears. Maybe that's the real story, not the retreat to Capri, not the rumors or the executions or the paranoia, but the dedication of a man who spent 2 decades doing a job he despised in a city he abandoned for people who hated him, and never once letting go.